Adam Spencer-Young. I'm a photographer, creative director, and part-time paranormal investigator.
What do
So
you actually
more
do?
of a, more of a documenter of stories. So we used to pre-COVID host events in alleged haunted buildings, small and big. Um, and we would like try and invoke spirit in a very friendly way. I think you need to be very respectful of what may or may not be there because it's there for a personal reason, which is nothing to do with us. However, if spirit has decided to communicate with people, that would indicate that they want to communicate. So we would give them a platform to do that, and we would take public guests along with us and explain different, and it's all like there's no science in it because it's not a proven science, but we would do more traditional methods of alleged communication, so like Victorian seances, crystal pendulums, things like that. Psychometry, like I'm messing with my ring now, so there's a theory that like everything holds an energy, and you can try and pick up on that, and like objects and buildings may hold memories. And then we would use more, I hate using the word scientific because I'm not a scientist, but more scientific methods. So like we would use technology, so like we've seen on TV, like like EMF meters, and we've got all sorts of silly gadgets, thermal imaging cameras, and I'm a bit on the fence. I'm kind of more like I'm skeptical, but open-minded skeptic. So if a little light bulb blinks, I'm like, what does that mean?
It's funny, yeah, because
Yeah.
like we saying, oh, it's not scientific, it's not proven, it's a bit, but at the same time, I know there's a lot in it all. Like, and from speaking
Yeah.
to you previously, there's like a lot of different systems of measuring things and quantifying things, and it's quite technical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just that there's no, and again, I'm not a scientist. We have got a scientist. You need to speak to that one, and he'll tell you in better detail than me. But it's theoretical science, so there's no like you need like a base level of so like the EMF meters work off what it is, but there's no like base level of this is a ghost. It's only theory based. So obviously we use that as a base and think, well, if it's above this or lower than that, then that's it's not paranormal, but it's interesting, and then it obviously gives us a ground to kind of potentially work forward. So it is interesting, but I mean, this isn't a new thing. They've been trying to like communicate with the spirits for like thousands of years, but like spirit technology has been around since sort of like the Victorian era, and they've tried to make like gramophones that way you could speak to the dead.
Yeah.
And, I think it was Thomas Edison actually. He made like the first ghost phone. It's really interesting. It is actually really interesting to me, but it kind of didn't work. But like the theory was all based on like white noise, which is something that people still believe in to like today. So like the modern version of like it was like a gramophone, but the modern version is what we call like a Frank's box. People call it a ghost box now, which I just think that's a bit silly because like you're kind of associating it is a thing, whereas we don't know if it's a thing. The theory of like white noise, it's not a new theory, and there is science in it. There is science in it. So,
How did you get into all that then?
well, I live in a really old haunted house. This one actually, a bit like
What?
yours, yeah, a bit like yours. And yeah, I don't know how old I was. I know I've told you this story, but I was probably about 6, maybe 7, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and obviously I was tired, I was young, and your eyes are adjusting. So I'm not saying like 100% true, but there was this woman walking across the room, like this actual room. It didn't look like this at the time. I'm still here. But I thought it was my grandma, so I was like quite happy. I was like, oh, brilliant, my grandma's coming to see me. And then I realised it's night, it's dark, and then when my eyes started to adjust, I realised she was much older than my grandma. She looked older, but what she was wearing also looked a lot older, and I was starting to get a bit confused as I was like coming round. I remember it absolutely vividly. She was like picking up, I was listening to me. But she's like, it was almost like a wedding dress, but I think in hindsight it's probably like an old-fashioned nightgown. But it was so long, she was like picking it up at the front to walk, and she was walking absolutely silently. And towards the end of this wall, I can't really turn the camera around, but it's a wall, and there's nothing behind this wall. Like it's not a residual energy thing. There wasn't a doorway there. But as I kind of realised it wasn't my grandma, she was wearing old-fashioned clothes, I then also realised I could see through the bottom half of her, and I could see the floor. It sort of gradually got more translucent. And I remember that she was like wearing, I think it was a red dress, but I had a very red carpet at the time, so it might have been that I was seeing through that. But it just slowly started to turn. And the only way I can describe it is like if you've read Harry Potter, which I'm sure people have, but like the Dementors, it felt like that. As it turned, it was like I'd done something wrong, and that's all. It's like I was in trouble. Like I'd done something really wrong.
Like you weren't supposed to see it.
I wasn't supposed to see it. I was in trouble for seeing it, and I felt like I was being sucked. And it was like, oh my god, it was the worst feeling of my life. Like it was horrible, and I thought I was going to get in big trouble for seeing it. So obviously I put the covers over my head and hid until morning.
Yeah, good technique. That would you recommend it?
No. Amazing how many people do it, but I was like frozen to the spot, and this is why I'm interested in like other people's stories, because I'd rather document the stories rather than like invoke spirits. So although we did do ghost tours, and I'm not saying we won't do them again, that's sort of trying to get a reaction, whereas I'm more interested in the story of why. Like there's a reason why that entity or spirit or person has chosen to stay here, and I think that's a bit more interesting than can you move the glass a bit left.
Yeah.
So it's the story that I'm interested in. Why? There's a reason why.
I guess that Victorian seance thing, a lot of that was around like interacting with the other side, wasn't it? Rather than, like you said, just observing what is and documenting it and just witnessing it rather than, trying to manipulate it or interact with it in a way. Just witness it. I guess, do you think that's based off you also being like, you're not really supposed to see that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I felt it felt naughty, it felt wrong.
Yeah.
And that's like that was the overall feeling I got, was I shouldn't have been seeing this.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in trouble for seeing it, so I didn't tell anyone for like quite a long time. But that was the overall feeling, that I was going to get in trouble, or it was going to get me because I shouldn't have seen it. And it was, I can't describe it. It was like whatever it was. It was like that entity knew that was in trouble for letting me see it.
Yeah.
That was the feeling. But like at 7, it was like I thought if I was to tell like my parents that it'd be it. like that.
And did you keep it a secret for a while then?
Yeah, a long time. So like, yeah, like the short version is, I live in a Victorian terrace, and I just like to point out, like, whatever I saw didn't look Victorian. It looked older. So I mean, like now, obviously we mentioned like residual energy and things like that. So maybe it's been something that's on the land or passing through, but I don't feel like now I'm older, it's something that would have been attached to the house, because it wouldn't have been like what she was wearing wouldn't have been the era. It was older than that. And it felt very dark and very earthy, and I don't know if you've ever seen a spirit, but like when you get a feeling with it, and it's very earthy and it's damp and it's wet, and it's like what you imagine a graveyard to be. There's different types, and I'll talk to you about that. But like earthbound spirits feel earthy, and it's like cold, damp, and wet. But yeah, the end of the story is I saw my friend next door, so it's a Victorian semi, and he was a bit older than me. And you know, at 7, like, I think, say he was 10, like it's like it could have been 10 years apart, like at that age. So he knew everything. You know, if there's anything to be said, he knew the answer for it. And we were sat in his back garden, and I remember thinking he might be able to hear me, because it's like joint. And he told me some absolute ridiculous story. He said, bullshit, not for allowed to swear on it.
Yeah.
But he told me some ridiculous story. He said, that's my like absolute secret. You need to tell me yours now. And like, I was like, obviously slightly intimidated because he's older than me and he knew everything. And I hesitated, and I wanted to tell him the story, because obviously I wanted to know if he'd experienced anything. And I went to say, I've seen a ghost. And I literally said, like, I remember hesitating. I went, I've seen it. And I went, spirit. And then I said, what is a spirit? I don't even know what that word means. I don't know where that word come from. I did not know that word at 7. It come out of my mouth. I went to say spirit, ghost, but spirit come out. And he like made up some bullshit thing, which sounded incredible at the time. But I don't know where that word come from. It come from out of me. And anyway, they did experience very similar things in their house, and in recent years I've realised that they've all seen it, and it's like passed between the two. So it's not just me, which is good. I thought I was a bit like mad. Maybe I am. But,
no, there's so much of life that doesn't make sense in the model of reality that we've told, you know, in the materialism. You know, there's a lot.
It's weird that they're seeing the same thing, which is
like and like, is that why you're interested in documenting it all as well?
Yeah,
then?
no, absolutely. So I only told him, and very quietly, because I thought he'd hear me. But like it was years later when I got older, and like things like adolescence, like absolutely messes with energies or spirits. If you know anyone that knows anything about it, like it just absolutely, you know, like throws a match on the gas. So all sorts of things happened, and we didn't have a bad home life, but my mum was in a bad relationship, and tensions were high, and doors were slamming and things were flying about. Things would go missing and then reappear in the garden. It was just like really weird stuff happened.
I had a lot of that growing up as well, but I think maybe we'll save that for when we do. I think we're going to explore a bit more of this, aren't we? You're going to be, is that right? You're setting up a podcast about all this so we can hear more about all these stories.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do, I think that was one of your questions, but like, so I didn't set up Ghost Tours. I become part of Ghost Tours UK, which is the group that I work with. I now own it. But I think I was 20. I was like at uni, and I just used absolutely every excuse under the sun to make my photography degree relates slightly to the paranormal, just as an excuse to do it. So I looked at like the birth of spiritualism and
with all the
cryptid
ectoplasm.
photography. Oh, it's brilliant! I loved it.
Yeah.
William Butler, and it was really interesting. And like the birth of spiritualist photography was basically a mistake. William Butler, is called. He was based in Boston. He was like an apprentice photographer at the time. Don't quote me like word for word, but like basically he didn't like they used to do the negatives were like a glass plate, like a very large glass plate, with a photo sensitive substance on it. Nitrate something, I can't remember, but he'd not cleaned it basically. So they'd done like a family portrait. I flipped it over and he'd not cleaned it properly, so that was the first by accident double negative. So like the previous sitter appeared on the new one, and instead of saying, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake, we'll do it again," he went, "Oh, it must be a spirit," and that's how it happened. That's literally how it happened. It was
That's
just
kind of annoying,
yeah.
isn't it?
Then he was like, "Could make a bit of money from this," so like.
Oh no.
So then he became like world famous, but it was an absolute fraud. Like mistake. I'm not saying like spirits are frauds, but like yeah, spirit photography is quite interesting, and I really like the. Well, I'm really interested in how like people choose to arrive at a truth. Like philosophically, how do you know that this is true? And obviously, science changes daily, and it's the same with with photography. So at the time, if it was in the camera, seeing is believing, that's 100% true. Obviously now we know that you can edit on Instagram, you can AI anything out, but then they didn't know, so it was 100% true, and people don't question it. And like science and belief is quite transient. So like, I thought that was quite interesting.
It's also interesting that when you see things like that, even though you can't necessarily say the truth, so like with AI, I think
Yeah.
more people now are open to the, mystical, magical, like mysterious, because
People want more of it, don't they?
yeah, but yeah, it's almost because they're like, hang on a minute, like something being like a picture of something doesn't actually prove that it is real. So then
I don't
that,
think it ever will.
yeah,
I think the point is it won't ever will, and this is why you asked, like the question you asked me originally was like, why are you doing the podcast? And I want to record stories instead. So like originally I'd set out to not prove it, but like capture it. And I don't think I'll ever capture anything like in my lifetime that will prove that ghosts exist. I've seen some really weird things. I've got some really weird videos, but even one of the best ones, I can send it to you, and you go, yeah, it's too good, and that's the problem now. It's so good, it's too good, it's edited, and it's so easy to edit. So that's kind of why I'm going the other way. I'd rather document the story, and I think that's for me more important. But,
so like the subjective experience rather than the
yeah, no,
objective.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are moving that way now. That's the world we're evolving into, isn't it?
What would be good enough? What would be good enough?
I know, I know, I know. And also the mysterious is always going to remain mysterious because that's the nature of it. So
Yeah.
like that's the whole point of it, isn't it? You
I
can't
think so. Yeah, I
prove
think
it.
so. I mean, I've had some weird experience. I know you have. But
Yeah.
like, if you start like scientifically analysing it, it's absolutely removed any
Yeah.
mysticism or like this. The essence of it has just like been destroyed. And I think you should just sometimes if you have a spiritual experience, regardless of like whether it's in a church or a ghost tour, it's like you need to take it for what it is and like appreciate that. Um,
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they do have an experience that's occult or mysterious, like that, they
It's like an
either
addiction. They want more, and you might only have like one epiphany in your lifetime, or
it's a profound experience, isn't it? When you're like, it doesn't make sense, and it leaves you in a state of holding on to the unknown a bit more. And you know, people do.
it's never enough.
I
It's
know.
never enough.
No.
Like, I had an incredible, like mediumship card reading after my grandma died, and it was just like life changing at the time. And I had two questions. I was very angry that she like died. She shouldn't have died when she did. She was 92. She did very well, but she should have lasted longer. And I went in thinking, this is all bollocks. I don't believe in anything. Blah blah blah. And she said, "You've come with two questions." And like one was like, "Is my grandma okay?" Obviously. And the other was like, "Is this all bollocks?" And like, and on that, she said like, "Oh, you've come with a very specific question." And she said like, I didn't say anything. I literally said nothing. She said, "Oh, you know, your grandma's not passed away for long, so she might not come through strongly. But her friend Anne's here, and her friend Anne's here with a dad, Bill, and she honestly, all these names come out, and it's like I've been doing my family tree like months before, so I knew that all these names were like, you know, legit. Oh, Uncle Ted's it, and it's like that is Uncle Ted. Like what the hell? But then you still think like that's not good enough, and then she started. It's ridiculous, but you want more, don't you? This is like the addiction.
More proof.
No, you want more proof.
Oh, what you mean? Like it's not. You want more mystery.
It's
you want
not good
proof.
enough. Yeah,
you want like a solid. Right, it's okay. I can leave it there now.
Ridiculous. And then I did the eulogy for a funeral, and she said, "Oh, I didn't say this. I just sat there. I literally sat there." And she said, "Oh, she loved like what you said at the funeral. Like she did not know that." And even then, I'm thinking, you could have just cold read this, you know. And she started singing the funeral song that I picked, like, which was the song that she used to sing in pubs. And it's a really like random. It's Lily Marley, Lily of the Lamplight, but it's virulent, but it's not the popular one. It's just the one that she used to sing, and she started singing it at me, and I'm just like, so that it's just mental. But then you still want more, and yeah. So she then said, because I was thinking like, am I just making this up? She'd pick a card. She picked number 2. So I picked the second one. She said, no, pick the number 2. And I went that one. And she picked it up, and it was the number 2. And she said, does that answer your question? So it was like, is this all bullshit? But when I left, she kind of put an hand on me and was like, you need to understand that this might not ever happen again. Like, it was quite an emotional thing to say. It's like, you know, you've had this kind of incredible experience, and it like answered the questions, and I felt like my grandma was okay. I'm wearing a wedding ring now, but don't expect it again. And you do, and this is the problem with people. They want more, and it's like an addiction. You know, you want it again. You want more confirmation. You want to speak to them next week, and you're not supposed to. You know, so like, I think there's a difference between like wherever they've gone, and like she's definitely gone there, and like earthbound spirits are different because they've chosen to stay. But if it's like a more profound thing, I think you need to like let them go there. And obviously, I don't know, but potentially wait.
Do you think that's also why you'd like to just record people?
Yeah, definitely.
There's a bit more sacredness to it, that it's a precious moment that needs. Yeah.
No, I absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. Like, I mean, one of like the projects I've wrote down is like, it's called Good Ghost Stories. But like when you watch TV and media, it's all very negative, and obviously for TV. But like, I used to love Most Haunted. I've got some over here still, but you know, it was brilliant telly. It was great. But it's like, how are we going to top that? So like, oh, he's been possessed 3 times this episode, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's bollocks, but Well, I think you fell into a trap, but
Yeah.
but um, it just removes that like sacredness and
Entertainment, it becomes more of a party trick again, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah yeah. So I think that like some of these little stories that you hear. I went to a spiritualist church. I don't actually like spiritualist church, but I went. Someone had asked me to go on. I thought, you know what I mean. If you get invited, you think maybe it's a sign. So I went, and this old lady was just like randomly telling a story, and I can't remember the context of it, but basically, a partner had passed away at like 90 something. You know, good age, good life, and rang up to say goodbye on the answering machine, and like allegedly, I've not heard it, but she's got this phone recording on the answering machine, and it's not unheard of. It happens a lot, you know. And it's these like, but it didn't scare her. It was like these little beautiful stories that I think are really important. It's that I want to capture. It's like, you know, there is
Preserve.
something else. But yeah, but it's not always negative. It's not like I think that was my point. So like TV makes it all like, oh my god, it's a demon. You know, but I've been doing this a long time. I've seen a few, maybe one really dodgy thing, but like the demon. It's not, you know what I mean? I'm saying they don't exist, and I'm sure they do, but like they're not haunting like 84 Downton Road. It's like
Yeah.
in Tameside. No,
So a lot
you're
of
not
this,
that interesting, mate.
a lot of this sounds like it's been it's since you were young, you've been really introduced to this at a young age, and it's still something that you're pursuing now. I was wondering if that you could tell us a little bit more about when you were younger, what else sort of drove you and excited you and lit you up? What kind of things when you were younger did tell us
Okay,
about little Adam?
little Adam. I was a
What
weird
else felt
child.
magical and meaningful,
I was
Was
a
it?
very strange child. Um, I think I went off on a tangent before, so I think the point of why I did it was fight or flight. So I'll answer that first, because I forgot to answer that because I'm ADHD. The point of like why did I do ghost tours was you can only be so scared for so long, and I ignored it. I pretended it didn't exist, and that's why I like decided to eventually bite back. And it's like people are afraid of what they don't understand. So I thought the best thing to do is try to understand it more. So that's the answer to the question I forgot to answer. Uh,
Oh, no, not at all. It's
when
really,
I
it's,
was younger, I just loved like fairy tales and folklore, and I think like our generation, because you're the same age as me, we're very lucky to sort of have missed. I mean, I love social media, but we were lucky to have missed that.
yeah.
And like I love film and I love stories, but like my favorite thing is to like watch 80s films. But there's so much like content and creativity in them, because that's all we had. It was like, and even like the TV program I used to watch when I was a kid, like Thundercats, and it just like the content was so good. It was so creative, and if you look at like a lot of like successful film directors, they've like come from that era because the sort of creativity was so good, like the Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal, and it was really dark for kids. Like some of the content was like, if you look back now, and it's like I'm not a parent, but like parents today wouldn't show the kids what we watched.
Yeah, it's interesting that I've not thought about that, but there was a lot of like mystery. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
Got True as well. Do you remember that program?
Oh, I love it. I watched it 3 times in lockdown
Did you? I've not seen that since I was a kid. It just
on
popped back.
YouTube.
But like there were quite a few, like you say in their Labyrinth. They were really kind of a cult,
They
weren't
were dark. They were really dark.
they? Yeah.
And you watch them back now, and it's like, wow, how'd you get away with this? But they did. They did.
What was that other one? where a boy was reading a book and then he got taken by a dragon.
Page Master.
No. Oh, there was Nightmare as well. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The kids would put the thing on and they'd be like, turn left, turn right.
My friend was in that.
Really? That was really cool as well. But I
Didn't
was
give me
told that was
real.
probably gamey, it's sort of like computer gamey, but actually it was there was a lot of lore around it, wasn't there? It was like
Yeah. Oh,
quests,
absolutely. Yeah.
witches, and run away from the witch, and portals. They were always going through portals and stuff. I never thought about this really, but yeah, I guess.
I believed it because you watch it, don't you? And you think it's. Why would you not think it's true? You're reading it in a book. There's no internet.
Yeah. So do you think people have lost that
I think it. Yeah,
magic?
I think they've lost creativity from that. And this is like one of the things that I was excited about this project, like your project, and because people don't tell these like little folklore stories, and that was one of my favourite things, being told about these fairies and goblins, and
Yeah.
they don't do that anymore. They're just playing Minecraft, and it's like, but and they don't play out. Like one of your questions was like, what did you enjoy doing? I love like going into the forest and making bow and arrows out of like. No one told us how to do it. We just worked it out. We
Yeah.
tried whichever was the bendiest bit of wood, and make stick swords, and we lit fires, and it was fantastic. No one knew where we were. Well, they didn't. You just come back when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Come back stinking of smoke. We had a good day, and no one asked anything. Like, why did you smell the smoke? Just lit fires. Like,
Oh
bow
yeah.
and arrow, a beehive, and yeah,
Yeah.
life is good, isn't it? So
Yeah, I remember
I
actually there
do
was a
miss that. Yeah.
sale. Yeah, there was a house for sale like at the end of this street that we lived on, and I ended up like me and one of my friends, Lindsay, we snuck into the back garden, we made our own vegetable patch. It's like
Yeah.
what? Like yeah, it's
But I miss the mysticism of it.
yeah.
Like my friend I was talking about, like next door, he just made it up, and like looking back, he made it up. But like, how interesting! Oh yeah, I saw this goblin yesterday in the. We had a bit of a woodland, but like, I'm 7. I'm like, oh my god, what? Where? We're gonna have to go and get it. So we're making the bow and arrows to go and get the goblin, and. But yeah, I miss that. I don't think kids have that today. It's just they're not allowed out, are they?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Play out.
I'd say where I live in the Scottish borders, there's a lot, people do go on a lot of walks and things. People
Mm.
moan about, I mean, a lot of young people do they spend more time online. Like everybody does. We do now.
I
And
do. I do.
we're doing it right now.
Yeah, I do.
And it's weird, isn't it? Like long gone are
Mm.
the days where we'd be like knocking on people's doors, are you coming out? I mean, I think I ring my friends now and check if they're in before. I don't think I've ever just knocked on someone's door for ages.
Mm.
Like it's kind of weird thinking as well, how did we all find each other? Like we just knew where like our friends would hang out and stuff like that as well. That was strange to just
Yeah.
like we didn't
Maybe the big tree.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
I guess we were more connected to the land as well. Like people had places that they'd hang out in and they were connected to.
That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
I miss it.
So it's interesting that's maybe something that's the connection to land has been lost a little bit, I guess. And all that mystery as well. And I mean, there was an element, I think, in us growing up that Disney did sort of like turn legends like the Arthurian legend and the Knights of the Round Table and the Sword and the Stone, that became more fantasy to me. So I grew up not thinking that stuff was real.
Yeah.
Whereas I think
I think I was a bit autistic, so I just thought it was.
well, yeah, I mean, there was an element though, I did think it was, but as I got a bit older and saw some films, I was like, oh, it's a story. Like, so I think that's probably happened even more so now.
Mm.
That, like, legends, and it's that's what I find so fascinating. And what we're doing with Maiden Mother Crone is like digging back into like where have these stories come from, and like, wow, actually they were real people. Oh my God. Yeah.
Even the ridiculous ones, like there's always an element of truth. Like stories and folklore don't come from nowhere, so it's not just made up.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, yeah, I guess there's always they've even, like you said
Be
earlier.
elaborated on. I mean, I elaborate apparently, but
Yeah. Well,
but
it's
that's what storytellers do. Storytellers add a bit, don't they? And I was telling a story last night, and someone said, "You've just added a bit." Like almost calling me out was like, "But it made it better, didn't it?" And that's what people do. It's like Chinese whispers, and I wasn't doing it to lie. It just elaborated the tale that I was telling.
That's funny. Well, I guess that what would there's an element of making things memorable, or even just
It's part
structure.
of the experience, though. So, like, I made the experience better for the receiver.
Yeah, I guess it's a balancing act, isn't it, between documenting things is different
Yeah,
than, turning things into living
yeah,
legends. And
yeah.
how do you manage I mean, because history really is just someone's story, isn't it?
Well,
Like,
history is whoever won the battle story.
I mean, we don't really know. We don't
It,
know
yeah,
who
it won't be.
record it is, or, there's a
Well, this is
lot
what
behind
happened. They
all
were a
that.
really bad man. I bet they weren't. He probably just killed them.
Yeah, all we've got though is on what was documented.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
then it's been edited.
yeah, or
So,
yeah. So it's interesting even what you've said about, you know, the fact that you want to document people's real life stories and like capture them and preserve them and hold the sacredness in them. And when things turn into more commercial storytelling,
mm.
like I guess entertainment.
Well, it's entertainment, and it
Yeah.
sells, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's like a little balance there between how do you, like, you can't really stop a story becoming into something that's entertainment a lot of the
yeah,
time.
it's your version. Though I've just said that
Yeah.
I've like slightly elaborated, and I've probably recounted the story, the ghost, slightly different to how it happened because I'm now 38. So it's just like how stories are passed on. Like that's how they'd have been passed on at the campfire. Like everyone had their little bit, and then folklore becomes legend, and then it comes fact, and you just got to kind of be a bit open-minded. But I think like it's nice to still have that kind of mysticism and excitement. And I certainly don't want to do it to scare people. I want to do the opposite. I think like my kind of argument would be like there's a point if there's something that wants you to see it, or there's a spirit or an entity, or even like the fairies at the bottom of the garden, like why are they there? There's a point. Like they're not. I don't think it's always negative, and why should it be negative? Um, like you speak to so many people about like a spiritual experience, and I will confidently say that 80% are positive ones. Someone's come back to sort of relay a message or make them feel better. So, um, like, and I get it, like it's media, but like media think like, oh my god, it's a demon, you're running around, ghost hunters or whatever they're called. Like, I just think that's really like detrimental because it's like it's sort of disrespectful to like the point of them coming back, and I want to just kind of strip that back, and I want the real story from a real person, and I don't want dramatic music, just like tell me how it happened, and it's usually dead mundane. It's usually I was having a brew, and then this
Yeah.
happened. In it though, that's like in it though, but that's usually what's happened. It's usually a really mundane thing, or like the answer phone thing. He's just left the message on the answer phone. Brilliant. But that's it. Nothing else has ever happened. He's just left a message on the answer phone saying, "See you later." Fantastic.
See you later.
I know. That's literally what happened. I heard my cat this morning. My cat passed away recently, but she opened the door and I heard a little footsteps come up to the vet, and then it was gone. But I'd not made that up. I heard it. It woke me up. I heard it. I mean, you could argue I was in my sleep, but I wasn't.
I think, for me, like, the main thing, we can spend so long trying to figure out what actually happened objectively, and really we can actually never know objective reality. All we ever know is what we experience.
Exactly.
And what happens to us, and
I think that's more important.
It is. And when you center yourself in that, there's more room for the extraordinary to happen, because you've got room to you've got the capacity to just go, okay, I don't understand it, and that's fine. Or actually, I have a system of rationalizing it where I go, what did that mean to me? And then you can rest on that, and that's okay. You don't need someone else to tell you what it is, and it becomes massive anxiety that what is going on in the world. Like, we don't need to know.
It doesn't matter. It's personal. It's a personal experience. So I tell people what happened to me, and it's like they'll come back and they'll go, "Well, that's a load of bollocks." It's like, but it wasn't to me. It was actually quite a spiritual experience for me, and you weren't there, and you don't know the backstory, and you don't know the emotion that's attached to it. So, but then they want justification. It's like, I don't owe you anything. Like, I don't need to. I don't need to prove it to you. This is what happened to me. This is what it meant to me. And it's quite disarming if you say that to them, because especially with a ghost tour, they have that prove it attitude, and it's like, I'm not even trying to prove it. I'm not even trying to change your mind. I don't care what you think. I'm glad that you've paid the 30 quid, but that's going into the charity down the road, not me. Cheers for that, mate. But I'm not here to prove it to you. I'm here to say this is what I believe, and this is an experience that you could be involved in. Should you open your mind to it? If you're going to close your mind, you're not going to have an experience, because you're just going to dip your sort of aurora up. Sorry, aurora.
Yeah. No. So it's amazing to have you on the MMC team as well, and all that you bring with that. There's a lot of spooky cup. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be looking at doing other work, bits and bobs together. But I mean, could you tell us what you're excited about personally with MMC stuff?
This well sounds amazing. I want to see Saint Ronan's well. This is very exciting.
Yeah.
So I just finished watching Pilgrim on BBC. It's really sad, and I loved it.
I've not watched it yet.
Well, you've not got a TV license. Well, I'll send you my login. But yeah, there's a lot of forgotten landmarks in obviously Britain, Scotland, Wales, and I just think that's an absolute shame. Like stories are forgotten, but these historic sites are forgotten. And St. Ronan's well, I don't know much about it, but apparently it's got healing properties, and it's on your doorstep. Why don't we use it? And I just think people would do a modern pilgrimage to historic sites, and that to me is something that should be encouraged. And you might even learn something along the way. It doesn't matter if it really works. I've been to Glastonbury, and I was a bit on the fence about some of those wells. But you give it a go, don't you? So
yeah, I think it's I'm really excited about this as well. It's good to find a starting point. I find the whole thing around experiencing, or at least visiting the you know, like the intangible, taking the intangible and being like, there's a tangible place. I can go to this place and like tap into all of these legends and stories and entities that are based in this place around it. They've been recorded and documented, and it's really, the land offers so much. It holds so much space for us to tap into, like, even, you know, the non-physical spaces. So I'm excited to see how much we can develop that and what it could turn into.
I think it would be amazing. I really do, and I think like that physical experience is just like, I like obviously talking about stories and recording stories, but like if you can actually go and put your feet in the well, or you know, drink the water if it's safe, like that's like an experience you've like physically had an experience, and I'd love to like document people's experience after they've had it.
Yeah.
Because it's a massively like, regardless of whether it's like actually magic or not, like if people have gone there for thousands of years, like I think that makes it magical. So like people leave an energy, and if people believe that, then you have created a magical place regardless. So the fact that it's been forgotten is sad, and like I think you'll get a positive response. I think you're going to get a really positive response from people.
It's really interesting.
You need to do like before and after interviews.
Yeah. There's really interesting rituals around it currently as well, but they're really devoid from a lot of the wider, you know, historical aspects as well. So I'm really excited to see what we uncover with that. Yeah. And it's great to have you on the team to like help with all that as well, because all the stuff you've done with, you know, ghost tours as well. It'd be interesting to see what ideas we could come up with in measuring different things, or even just your experience in documenting things properly. And
yeah, I'm not trying to. I think the thing is, like, it's a personal, and spiritual experiences are personal. So I'm not trying to. When I say document it, I don't want to like try and trick someone. So like a lot of like programs are like trying to like debunk it. I don't think we need to do that. I think to document like their actual experience and ask them how they feel before and after, and you know, we don't need to say, but was that real? Because it was real to them, and that's enough. It is, and then you send that positivity out, and I'm a big believer in what you give out, you get back, and you know, positive energy attracts more. So I don't need to, you know what I mean? We can read it, but like we don't need to debunk it. I'd record like the beautiful stories and encourage more.
Yeah. What do you hope people get from that then?
That like positive experiences. Like I've never done a pilgrim, but like I've watched the program. That's so just to relate to the program that they have like people from very different backgrounds. They've got like, you know, like a Christian, a Muslim, someone that's atheist, someone that's like a very like turned away from the church, all sorts of different backgrounds, and for very different reasons. And they like throw them together and send them to a pilgrim site. And throughout all of them, like the very similar experiences, that they're all very positive, and it sort of doesn't matter what you actually believe. It's the fact that you're doing it together and you're there for a reason, and like I think the journey is important as well. So like getting to the place, because it gives time to reflect. But like none of them have gone, that's a load of bollocks. Like they've all come away more respectful of each other's beliefs, and I think it sort of doesn't matter, because like I'm agnostic, so I believe in other things. Like I believe in spiritualism. I'm a bit on the fence with a few, you know, other things, but I certainly wouldn't say I was like Christian, or I'm not in a box, but I'm respectful, and you know, I've got friends that are of all these different faiths, and I know you have, and I think that's like really healthy, and I think that's what like something like this could encourage. It doesn't matter what your background is. If it's a sacred well of healing, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or pagan, or it's still sacred space. And my brother lives in Dubai, and we went to sort of a few temples out there, and like you can just feel it. Like I'm not a Muslim, like I'm not even a Christian, but like the energy from a place like that is just incredible. And I defy anyone to say that they didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
So I encourage that, and it brings people together. So
Yeah.
it brings
So do
people
you
together
think
and talk.
Maiden Mother Crone is helping people tap into that then?
I think so. Yeah, I think it will bring people from different faiths together, because we're all kind of. I've just like tapped into that now. So that wasn't the. I know that's not the idea of it, but
No,
yeah, I
there's
think like
definitely an element of
multi
that. Yeah, you
multicultural, multi faith. I've got not drastically. I'm not drastically different views to you, but we have different views. But we can have conversations, and it's healthy to sort of discuss these things. It's like, well, this is what I believe. It's not right. How do I know if it's right or wrong? Like,
you
this is
know
what
because
I. No, this is what I
yeah,
believe. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
but I think,
exactly. Celebrating the diversity that
yeah.
unites us all as like if everyone was the same, we're not going to achieve much, have we?
Well,
We've
you're not. You're closing the door. You've closed the door. They've closed the door. Like, really. Like, not even a cup of tea.
I
So,
mean, these remembering events that we're doing, it's all about that as well. It's about looking at different, it's kind of holding space for people to bring their individuality and see how it all links together in a way that unites and unifies, like,
I
everybody.
think you'll find that a lot of people are very similar.
Yeah, well, even still, you can have your own individual subjective experience, but when you share it, that's when it becomes something that you can, experience together as part of community.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we don't have to have the meaning come from outside. We can have our own meaning and then, hold that together.
Change the narrative.
Yeah. We can choose one that holds all of ours together. It's yeah. I mean, there's loads of technical stuff. Could chat about that for ages. But yes, thank you so much for coming chatting to us about this. It's really
Very
nice to get to
welcome.
know more about you, and I'm sure everyone will be really excited to hear more about all the ghosty things. Loads of questions for you.
Ask me some ghosty questions.
I'd say, you've done an interview for Maiden Mother Crone now. I'm totally up for committing to kicking off your new ghost
Podcast.
cause
You've been the first
podcast.
interview.
And I will share all of my I have a long list of weird stories of
I
ghosts
like you.
as a kid. So yeah, I'm up for that. I'm up for doing one of those with you.
Amazing.
We'll definitely share with everybody where we can find more information about what you're doing on your own, as well as what we're going to be doing together.
Yeah, I'm happy to
Made for the
support.
Crone. Woo!
It'll be exciting. It'll be good.
Yeah.
It's good energy. We need more good energy. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, Anna. I'm just gonna end this recording here then, and we can yeah.
Finish my onion brew. See you later.